Welcome back. I'm here with Mandy. We're starting up a group this fall that will be a social skills group for elementary to middle school children alongside a parent support circle. And we're talking about what are the challenges that we see with kids and parents? What are people struggling with? And why are we trying to help those people? One of the things that I know you're really passionate about, Mandy, is that we know so many neurodivergent kids are like, keeping it together all day at school or in, these like really intensive therapies. And then they come home and they absolutely fall apart and it's a massive meltdown. And it's so exhausting. And it can't be fun for kids, but it's so exhausting for parents to deal with. And so that's one of the things that you're addressing. You want to tell us
Yes.
about that?
Yeah. So that was definitely one thing that I had with both of my kiddos when they would go to school all day and mask. And yeah, you're right, holding it together where they're holding it in and they're trying to fit the social norms and fit everything that all those expectations that teachers and even the other kids are putting on them so that when they would come home, it was either a shutdown or an explosion. And we called it the witching hour after school because we never knew what was going to happen. And it was so hard to prevent it. But with this, what we learned in my family was that getting outside right after school made that transition so much easier because it allowed them to let go of everything they were holding all day and then become into their body and feel more calm and regulated so that when we would go home, it was such a much smoother evening. There wasn't just the intense struggles that occurred when we weren't outside.
Yeah, and so one of the things I'm hearing is that the skills that you're going to be working on with kids in this group are not just it's not just like on Monday afternoons you come to this group and then the transition home is easier, but that these are skills that can then translate into Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon.
Yes, definitely, because this is something that you can do. Nature is everywhere, right? Being outside is everywhere. And I'm even hopefully going to talk about how do you do this in the morning? How can you get them to go to school in a more regulated and calm state? Because mornings can be really stressful and have meltdowns as well, you know? Yeah, so that's definitely yes,
The
it's very
regulation
important
skills.
for yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing that I see a lot, I see this with my own kids, especially my 6-year-old, and with a lot of other neurodivergent kids, and especially girls. That the one of the things that we know about autism in particular is that a lot of autistic boys are content to have just a couple of friends and they get their social needs met, and it's common to need a lot of alone time or downtime, and that's okay, and it's really important that people hear we are not trying to fix or change that because it's not a problem. If someone's social needs are being met, great, we're happy. But for girls, one of the things that's really common is that autistic girls want to be very social and have a lot of friends and don't understand why it doesn't work and why they try to be kind and often very kind and empathetic friends. And they're just, and oh my God, the heartbreak when my 6-year-old is like, tries to make a friend. And I can see she's trying so hard to be kind and to be friendly and to be open. And then somebody's like, no, when she asks if they want to play with her, and just the like total tears and heartbreak. So one of my goals for her is to help her understand what's happening in those interactions and how to have the friendships and the social life that she wants to have, however much social that is. So how are you helping kids with those kinds of challenges where they want to have social relationships and it's not working?
Yeah, that is such a great question. And God, it almost made me cry because I remember my own kiddos and their struggles with this exact same thing. And it's interesting you talk about girls because mine is a boy and he would make quick friends, but never be able to sustain it. So the next time he asked to play, they wouldn't, or they'd play for a little bit
Mm,
and then they couldn't. Then the other child was like, your kid's too much. I can't do it. And so would end up not having friends either. And so what we're going to be working on in some of the skills is um, really just how to have a back and forth, how to have a conversation, but to be true to themselves because we're not fixing them, but how can they best communicate for themselves to somebody else? you know. And yes, again, those interactions we talked a lot about with our kids about what's going on socially. Like, okay, so this is what happened. What was the other person thinking? Why did they react the way that they reacted? And not necessarily to change yourself, but just to understand, guess what? It's not me. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. And that's a really big key to this communication is, yes, you're going to encounter a lot of people who aren't going to want to be your friends. But when you encounter those people who are going to be your friends, it's going to be amazing. So let's focus on that. Finding those friends who like you for you and who totally get you.
And building the resilience around
Yes,
if somebody doesn't like you, that's their loss,
it is.
not a problem with
Exactly. Oh my
you.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That you're not looking just for a bunch of friends. You're looking for those that really do get you and that you can be yourself with and having the confidence to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And especially because so many of us as adults who grew up neurospicy and undiagnosed and tried to and learned to be people pleasers in order to have a social life. And now we're adults. And I work with these people coaching all the time about how do they as an adult learn how to be authentic with their friends
Yep. It's
and
such a
have those
challenge.
conversations.
Yes, me too, late diagnosed. But yes, I look back and I'm like, now I can give myself so much more compassion and understanding, knowing that I wasn't broken when I was little and couldn't make friends. I was not broken. And so that's what I want these kiddos to know they're not broken and that they can be themselves and then they can still make friends and have
Yeah.
authentic friends.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we see with the parents because that's the other half of this. We have the social skills group for the kids, and then while that's happening, at the same time, the parents have a facilitated support circle. And we think that's really important because parents also need support. And what I see with parents is the primary thing that I see is parents just being overwhelmed because it's a lot. It's a lot to be taking your kid to, all of the same things as every other family that are also overbooked and overwhelmed. But then on top of that, a bunch of therapies, on top of that, dealing with meltdowns, navigating if you have different kids with different neurotypes who need different things all at the same time. If you have neurospicy adults who also need different things all at the same time, or if you are an adult who is sensitive to noise or things like that. And then it's like it's even more overwhelming when your kids are struggling. And so I see a lot of overwhelm in parents. And I see in parents who don't have a lot of other neurospicy people around them, when their kid does something that is a totally normal neurodivergent kid thing to do, that other parents are like, what's wrong with my kid or what's wrong with, your get too much. It's over, your kids got problems or, whatever, and aren't accepting. Or when the parent tries to talk about how much they're struggling, other parents are like, you just do a sticker chart. And the neurodivergent parent is like, do you not think I've tried that?
Yep. Oh my gosh, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So parents need a space. All parents need a space to be supported and understood and validated and heard and to be with other people who get it. And so this is a space that is that for the parents of these wonderful and sometimes challenging children.
It is. And it's interesting because I'm like, I wish I had this group when my kids were little because I encountered all of that, the judgment, the advice, and all of that stuff. It doesn't work. And it was just so frustrating. And it just made me feel so isolated. So being around other parents with neurodiverse kids or even around other neurodiverse adults is just an amazing thing and will provide so much support to them. Like, yes, I think all parents need this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do a lot of these groups. I have been participating in a group like this virtually since my oldest was 2, so 8 years now, more than 8 years now. And it's been life changing for me and for us. And I lead these virtually all the time. And one of the things that's missing in that is the opportunity to have IRL community, offline community with people, and virtual is beautiful when you live in a place where there maybe aren't people locally, you don't have to sacrifice that sense of community, but it is also really important and powerful to have people that you can, message who live within 20, 30 minutes of where you live. And that's one of the things that can grow out of this. All right. Well, I'm really excited. We start in about 2 weeks. So if you're in the Denver metro area, the link to all the program information and to join us is in the description. And if you see this before August 28th, we have a virtual meet and greet where you can come chat with us and ask your questions.
Yes. I'm so excited as well. I think this just is an amazing idea, but it's going to help so many people.